Welcome to Tech Tuesday number 23. We're going to talk today about trade secrets, and we're going to talk about trade secrets being a strategy and not a fallback. But first, we're going to take a moment of silence. We still have horrible ongoing hostage situation down south. So the most important takeaway that you should have is that trade secrets are not a cheap fallback for patents. A lot of people say, oh, I'll just keep it a secret, as if it's, alternatives. So it is definitely true that if you have an invention, you want to decide if to patent it or to keep it a secret. And it's definitely true that keeping a trade secret is usually far cheaper than filing a patent. But trade secrets are not free, and having a trade secret is also not risk-free. But the most important thing is trade secrets and patents are two very different tools, kind of like a hammer and a screwdriver, and each one is correct to use in different situations. And the best thing to do is to use them together in a strategic manner, and we'll give a few examples later. Now, my philosophy of trade secrets relates to my general IP philosophy, is that trade secrets have to do with knowledge we want other people not to have. And yeah, if somebody steals it, we want to be able to sue them for stealing this trade secret and so on. But in general, the goal that you have is either to help or to interfere with other people using knowledge. So I have here a very compressed slide, a brief taxonomy of trade secrets. And the most important point, perhaps, is that trade secrets are not only technology. So yes, you can have trade secrets in technology, in marketing, in sales, in operations. You can have strategic trade secrets, like if your company is trying to deceive a different company, there's secrets involved. If you're planning on doing something, the secrets involved. If you have knowledge you want to spring on your competitors suddenly, the secrets involved. If you have a vulnerability, let's say you're actually infringing somebody else's patent, but nobody knows, well, that's a secret. And it's a strategic trade secret, because if somebody knew, you might get an infringement suit, which would cost you a few $1 million. So there are a lot of different types of trade secrets, and a lot of the people here are patent attorneys, so we usually think about patents, and we usually think about trade secrets as, oh, well, we're not going to file a patent. So I call your attention to the known unknown matrix I have on the right. Black is us, and red is a competitor. And we all remember known unknowns and unknown knowns and unknown unknowns. And let's see what they're about. So what we know that we know, we want to keep it a secret. What we know that we don't know, we want to do research and protect it. What we do not know that we do not know, unknown unknowns, well, you got to keep an open mind. What we do not know that we know, and a lot of companies in that situation, the people in charge of knowledge management don't know what all the different people in the company know. We want to find it and protect it. That's for us. A trade secret, as I hinted at before, is also an offensive weapon. What we know is that our competitor knows. What should we do? The answer is maybe we should do publications in order to confuse a competitor. What we know is that they do not know. What you want to do is what I call disenlighten. It's kind of like disinformation. And reads a quote here from Mark Twain that what gets you into trouble is not what you don't know, it's what you know that isn't so. So if my competitor doesn't know something and I make sure that he knows something wrong, that could be very valuable. What if my competitor has some secret knowledge somewhere and they're not aware of it, okay? They do not know that they know it. Well, make sure you don't tell them. This can come up a lot when you're doing joint ventures together, that you might be tempted to tell your potential partner what they know that is valuable for you. And if they're not aware of it, it's better to keep them unaware. Another tale in this taxonomy is what not to do is also a trade secret. And super important is that secrets can be about details. You know, what temperature should you set the oven? But they can also be about salience or non-salience. And in fact, the very existence of a secret could be a valuable secret. Nobody knows that you have secret information that's very valuable. I just want to give you an example about salience. Guy I knew developed a machine. Somebody had a patent, and he spent a whole year trying to design around the patent, delaying the launch, and he failed. And then it turned out that that patent solved a problem which doesn't really exist. Now, if he would have known that that problem's not important, the machine would have come out a year earlier. But he didn't know. That was the secret. So here's a few examples of trade secrets of really very different types. How do you calibrate an oven to increase the yield from 90% to 99%? Super valuable. A secret sauce, let's say for Kentucky Fried Chicken. A set of parameter values where each one of the parameter values is known, but the particular set is not known. Here's something that Edison was very proud of. They said, you tried 1,000 different filaments and they didn't work. He said, no, I learned 1,000 things that don't work. Okay, that's a trade secret. You know which one not to use. Here's a trade secret in sales, okay? When should you make a cold call to a customer? After some sort of news event happens in some particular industry. Very valuable if you know how to do it. That some company has a problem worth $100 million. If you're the company, it's very valuable that nobody else knows you have a problem. If you're aware that a different company has this problem, let's say you're a consultant, this is an opportunity to offer them a deal. Just a second. What is really required in order to sell a particular product? Okay, that's super important. You don't overdevelop it. That there is an alternative technology, even if you're not using it. Very valuable. Here's something in operations. What is the right way to select low expertise workers? If you know how to do it, you save a lot of money in operations, and that can make you beat a competitor. What issues need to be solved in the future in order to make a working widget? Fake needs we talked about. And very important trade secret, compromat. If you know something about the President of the United States, You don't want other people to know it. You want to use it for blackmail. Okay? Now, if your trade is blackmail, that's trade secret. So we have a trade secret, or many of them, and we want to use them. So there's a few issues involving using trade secrets. The first one is, at least from what I've seen, trade secrets are usually used strategically and not tactically. And it goes both ways. On the one hand, if they're used tactically, for some small thing, which doesn't have a lot of leverage, then there used to be strategic secrets. For example, let's talk about this case where you're trying to make a deal with a competitor and you let the competitor know that you have a big problem somewhere. Not you, one of the engineers on the line said, oh, we really want to know how you solve this problem. Okay, that was a very valuable trade secret. It was used tactically and it caused a lot of damage to the company. But I think the big problem is that secrets are secret. So people who could be using the secret simply don't know about it. Now we have the opposite problem with trade secrets. In order to use a trade secret, sometimes you have to reveal part of the secret. If the very existence of the secret is a secret, well, that's a problem. And I took Coca-Cola as a poster for how difficult it is to use a trade secret. You might say, but they're doing a great job. Everybody knows about their secret formula. But that's exactly the point. They spend a lot of money and a lot of marketing in order to be able to use that trade secret. It's not easy to use it. Usually trade secrets need some sort of support system. Okay, it's not like you have a machine and part of it's covered by a patent. But you should remember that a lot of the value of the trade secret is in causing delays for your competitors, and a lot of that could be psychological. So if your trade secret can use what your competitor is doing, that's good. Patents are usually centralized. IP managers manage the patents. In some companies, also trade secrets are managed in a centralized manner, but a lot of secrets, and especially know-how type secrets, are simply not known. And they're very distributed. Different parts of the company know different little yet possibly important secrets. And in a sense, it's a little bit like branding, where the company has a brand, but everybody in the company who is working needs to support that brand. Now, trade secrets are usually not sold or licensed on their own. That's fine. So you sell it together with technology, know-how, patents, and so on. But somebody has to define what this package looks like. And when you sell or license a trade secret, you have to put a lot of work into making sure that the trade secret actually stays a secret. And one more interesting thing about trade secrets, they could be unlimited geographically, but different countries have different laws on what is considered to be a trade secret, what is considered to be improper use or proper use of it. So I put together some examples of using trade secrets, not the secrets themselves. The trivial one is that if you plan on filing a patent application, let's say in half a year, you have to make sure that you keep the invention a secret until then and manage it as a trade secret. Gil Perlberg likes to say, and on a comment on LinkedIn, that any patent starts out as a trade secret. When we decide to file a patent, the timing of filing a patent can be related to trade secrets in another way. I want to file a patent while the fact that there's a problem that needs to be solved is still a secret, because then I can probably get much broader protection. If everybody knows that there's a problem, how to solve it might be obvious. If people don't know there's a problem, then I can get broader protection. So I have to file as a patent before the fact that there's a problem becomes public. You can you can protect a trade secret in tandem with a pending application. Let's say I have a secret. I file a provisional patent application. Okay, so they're moving together. At the end of the year, I can ask myself, did the secret leak? Well, if the secret did not leak, I can refile the provisional application. If the secret did leak, well, in that case, I should file a PCT application claiming priority. So I'm using a patent application to protect my trade secret, but I'm avoiding the actual publication. Speaking of publication, we can use publication in order to confuse people about the existence or the importance of a trade secret. And of course, we want to publish trade secrets and inventions of our competitors. If we know a competitor has a particular secret, we want to publish it. Then the competitor can't say, oh, I have a trade secret. You don't, it's been published. If you're familiar with the concept of commoditize the complement, let's say you're selling printers, so the ink is a complement. If you make the ink a commodity, meaning that nobody can get a monopoly and it has to be sold at commodity prices, which are usually low, it makes it much more difficult for other people to get into the printer market. And one way of doing that is to publish any secrets people need in order to manufacture the complement. The value of a trade secret. I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but assuming your competitor knows that you have a trade secret, it will take them a certain amount of time and a certain amount of resources to figure out your secret. And while they're doing that, they still have both risk and uncertainty. And of course, if they don't know that you have a secret, the value of your secret goes up. Okay, so let's say there are 300 manufacturers that manufacture resistors. And it turns out that only manufacturer number 35 makes resistors which are suitable for my secret radar system. That's a valuable trade secret. How valuable? Well, how long will it take your competitor to try out all 1,000 suppliers and discover which one makes resistors which are good enough for the secret radar system? That's a value. Now, if nobody knows that the problem is in the transistor quality, the value of the trade secret just went up. A few more examples of using trade secrets. Let's say you have a company, you're developing something. Turns out you were wrong. It is not a good way to solve the problem. What should you do? Well, you can continue showing your momentum, and then your competitors might believe that that is the right thing to do. Maybe some of them will be tricked into wasting their resources on something which you already know doesn't work. Now, of course, that's very tricky because you have potential partners. And potential partners often, especially for startup companies, are both potential partners and potential competitors. So you need to convince them that you know what you're doing, and you can't lie to them. But you also need to make sure that they don't know what is the right way to do it, in which case they might simply do it. I talk about using trade secrets. There's also abusing trade secrets. And the usual suspects are marketing. And in a positive way, you can use marketing to highlight a secret which is already not secret. But you can also use marketing to hide the very fact that you have other secrets. Patenting is very tricky. Obviously, patents publish. If you do it right, the patent will work together with the trade secret. Just for example, you get a patent on the big details, which are easy to copy. and you keep trade secret the 10,000 little details which makes the difference between a junky product and a good product. One of the problems with patents is not the patent itself, but the prosecution. As you prosecute the patent, you inadvertently show, by arguing with the patent office or by narrowing your claims, what is important. And what is important could be a trade secret. Not only trade secrets, but in general, IP have a risk of starving the ecosystem. Not everybody, but some companies want to have a thriving ecosystem. Take, for example, the App Store. Apple wants, today at least, to have a thriving ecosystem where people will write apps and they will make the iPhone more valuable, and Apple will get 30%. That's wonderful. Now, if Apple were to keep too many secrets, people would not go into that ecosystem and they'd only work for Google. So you have to be careful when you have trade secrets not to keep too many of them, or the rest of the ecosystem just won't be there. Trade secrets can also be used, if you have a patent battle, and then you have to ask, what is the value of my trade secret to somebody else? So 2 slides ago, I talked about value, but the question is, what is my value to a particular somebody else? So you should be keeping track of trade secrets, not only what they are, not only how you're protecting them, but also what value specifically they have for other people. Put together this squiggle showing how trade secrets together with other types of IP can be used. So black is really the way you want to go, but you have a patent. Okay, you want to go from idea to proof of concept to product. We're the ones doing everything. So black is the way the competitor wants to go, but we blocked it with a patent. There's another narrow, squiggly pathway that they can go. Good luck. How does he know about it? Because we published it. There's another good way to do it, but it's gray because we're hiding it using a trade secret. Nobody knows that there's another way to do things. But even if they knew, we have another trade secret on how to do it. A few other types of IP playing here. We have a patent which doesn't completely block this pathway, it just blocks most of it. Here we have a patent thicket, which really means that when you try to get from this side to this side, you have to go around the patents. Here we're using secret know-how. You can definitely go on the highway, but if you don't know the know-how, you have to do this awful squiggly bypass. Okay, there's different ways that you use trade secrets and patents together to block somebody. How do you find trade secrets? So I spoke last time about jobs to be done, meaning that each IP item usually will be connected with some jobs that your IP portfolio needs to do. And like patents, bottom up, top down, and active searching. And I emphasize again that any type of knowledge, you have to assess it. Do you want to patent it? Do you want to keep it a secret? Do you want to publish? And usually these things work together. And there are a lot of publications, and I'm not going to get into it, on the question of how to choose if something's going to work better as a patent or work better as a trade secret. But I will point out that when we talk about patents and trade secrets, there's a time window where that IP item needs to do the job. So the question is not how well will the patent survive and how well will the secret survive, but will they do their job at the time we need them to do their job? And of course, what does it look like? Does it look good to have a trade secret? Does it look good to have a patent? It's important. So while we're searching for these trade secrets, here's 4 points to consider. The first one is, are you planning on having a lot of trade secrets or a few trade secrets? Obviously, the way you manage them is very different. Are you going to look for trade secrets on critical features or on less critical features? So trade secrets and critical features are going to get a lot of attention by your competitors, so they're more likely to be broken. While on secondary features, they're less likely to be broken, but they're not going to block anybody, they're just going to make life more difficult. Are you looking for trade secrets locally or centrally? Like I said before, a lot of secrets are created locally and managed locally. That means that the people need to be trained to identify, to use, and to protect trade secrets. And the question you always ask, is a company able to afford autonomy? Can the company trust the distributed people to actually take good care of the trade secrets? In those places where trade secrets are created, you have to give a special amount of attention. Okay, the people who create trade secrets, let's say in a fab, the line people experimenting on maximizing the yield, they need to know that they're creating trade secrets, and they need to have these confidentiality habits, which mean that the secrets will always be secret. Why is it not easy to find trade secrets? I bet, if we went to a client and said, okay, let's find your trade secrets, it won't be easy. So first, a lot of secrets are not technological, and the people searching might be tech people. Second, a lot of secrets are not expensive, okay? We don't pay $10,000 to write a patent application. So it's a lot easier to ignore. And of course, I've heard about programs which give bonuses and weekends, and here, look, I have something, inventors get recognition, but less so for trade secrets. I mean, it could exist, but I haven't heard anybody who told me I have 5 plaques on my table because I invented 5 trade secrets, which nobody talks about. Okay, it's kind of self-defeating. Secrets are secret, so people don't talk about it. Okay, if I have a great invention, which I think is going to be patented, I'm going to start talking to people. I want a patent, I want a patent. But if it's a secret, I'm not going to talk to anybody. How often have we not filed a patent application because the inventor kept it a secret and didn't tell anybody? Imagine how bad it is with secrets. Know-how. My definition of know-how is information which you know, but you can't write down. So it's difficult to identify that you have secret know-how because you can't write it down. It's difficult to talk about. But the people that have the know-how can one day decide to leave. So not only don't you know what it was, and you couldn't tell them to keep it secret, but now you don't have it either. So even if you can't write it down, you can still document what the know-how is. And definitely seen companies selling and renting out and licensing know-how. Places like universities, but not only there, any company has a marketing department, has publication needs. People get recognition for publication, not so much for having a trade secret. And last but not least, in patents, we want to file a patent which will block the competitor from doing what the competitor will want to do. So that's a job of the IP manager to figure out what that is. With trade secrets, you have to imagine what other people don't know and should know, and that's what you want to keep secret from them. Okay? And it's usually not the IP manager who has to figure it out, but the person who has something which might or might not be a trade secret. So it's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to know what other people don't know, or maybe don't know and should know. So what's the solution to all of these issues? First of all, maintenance. You need record keeping. One of the things we do is we keep trade secrets in a format like a patent document. So it's detailed and people can read it and can know what it's about. You must know what is the costs associated with the secrecy, just like any other part of the IP budget. Even more so than patents, education is important. And with education, you have the extra problem that maybe you don't want everybody in the company to understand why something is being kept a secret, or even what your trade secret strategy is in general. Perhaps one way of dealing with that is to have classes of trade secrets so people understand better, anything about my algorithms, that's a secret. Got it. Anything about the details of the settings of the fab. Got it. And I'm admitting that trade secrets are the default. Why? Because you don't want to help other people. And the question you always have to ask is, can the cloud keep secrets? And I'm thinking about companies that have software running on the cloud, and the secret is inside the software, and presumably nobody can download the software, but perhaps people can communicate with the software and cause it to give up the secrets. There's an interesting paper, which I'm putting it in only for formality's sake, and this paper talks about how do different companies approach trade secrets. Okay, it's not what this talk is about, but I think this chart is very interesting. It talks about a resource-based view and dynamic capabilities and proactive HR so people don't walk out with them. And just read the paper, links down here on the bottom. Trade secrets die. You don't only get them, you also lose them. How do they die? First of all, legally, which is perhaps less important, if you don't keep them a secret. Somebody else can discover your secret, especially if you aim your competitor at it. The minute people know something is possible, makes the discovery more likely. Trade secrets go obsolete because they're not needed anymore for all sorts of reasons. Trade secrets can be published, either intentionally or not intentionally. You have leaks. And there's also an indirect leak. There's a zeitgeist that, people have in their mind, and whatever you're doing is supporting that, and then people get to the same idea as you do. If you work with a contractor of some kind, your product unintentionally might have a hint or a signature, but actually is a trade secret in the products that you're selling. NDAs. How many NDAs have you seen that say, for 3 years, you have to keep everything secret? What happens after 3 years? Oops, it's not a secret anymore. And last but not least, if the person knowing the secret walks out, and they are the only person knowing the secret, if they tell, there's no secrecy. If they don't tell, you are the one who doesn't have the secret. So the secret is not dead, it's just, absent. Talk about patent battles. There's trade secret battles. Here's things you can do to fight the trade secrets of other people. Presumably, you don't want your competitors to have valuable trade secrets. You can revoke the trade secret. You can publish a trade secret. You can make it obsolete, or you can design around it. You can license from somebody else. Sometimes M&As are done simply to get the right for somebody else's secrets. You can file a patent. In some countries, if company A has a trade secret and company B files a patent on it, company A is not allowed to do the trade secret anymore. It's not prior art. And they've been doing it and now they can't do it anymore. It depends, different laws in different countries. Last but not least, Uber versus Waymo, a $245 million settlement on trade secrets. Okay, so trade secret battles are real. Very big money involved. Here's a few events you should keep in mind if you're dealing with trade secrets. In general, secrets naturally become fine-tuned or enhanced and obsolete. And usually once you lose secrecy, that's it. From a practical perspective, it is possible that once you lose secrecy, you will still have protection, perhaps not legal protection, but actual protection. Filing a patent sets up a time where it's going to publish, tells people where to look at, and so on. Marketing and branding, and the marketing can last much longer than the trade secret. If you have new competitors, you can immediately ask, did they steal my trade secret? You'd be surprised. And can we generate new trade secrets? Most critical time when you're doing due diligence with somebody, a competitor, potential partner, investor. Those are the times that you're most likely to lose trade secrets, whether legally or practically doesn't really matter. To summarize, trade secrets are an IP tool you should be thinking about in a strategic manner. When you build a company, trade secrets reflect a basic IP issue and also a basic vulnerability, okay? If you're planning on keeping something secret, it's a vulnerability in your company because you might not be able to do it. A lot of IP is trade secrets, sometimes a lot of the value. And I always say it's very easy to ignore patents and ignore inventions. Well, it's way easier to ignore secrets. Let me just give you an example of how we might look at a combined patent trade secret strategy. So you have a new company called Bulldozers Limited, and they invented an electrical powertrain. They only have money for 5 patents, but they have the capability of keeping secrets. They're planning on manufacturing bulldozers, but they also want to license some of their technology to the direct competitors. And what you want to do is you want to suggest a mix of patents and trade secrets. And the trade secrets that you suggest, you should be asking yourself, why are they valuable? How are we going to use them? And how is it going to be protected? And with that, I will stop the recording.